Welcome to the King Quest.
My completely rational decision to read every single Stephen King book in publication order. If you're new here, Stephen King is the king of horror, the mind behind It, The Shining, Carrie, and pretty much every reason you've ever double-checked your closet at night. Today, the journey leads us to Salem's Lot, his vampire epic that proves small towns are never as cozy as they look. So grab your garlic, turn on an extra lamp, and enter at your own risk.
You ready to start this bad boy? So, I always start with the annual inspection. The inspection came out with a minor scratch. Anyways, what we did glean is that this is a vampire book. I wasn't 100% certain, but it does say, do you believe in vampires? So, feels like it has to be, right? And I also didn't know, but this is an illustrated edition, which initially I thought meant that it would be like drawn pictures, but these look like photographs to me. And then when I went back and looked again, it actually does say photographs by Jerry N. Yulesman. So interesting that it's still called an illustrated edition. I guess any type of visual will count. The fun thing about these editions that I've been collecting one by one, besides the fact that they have these like amazing rainbow spines, is that they come with these introductions, or at least Carrie and this one did. So I'm just going to assume that they all do. And the introductions kind of tell you where he got the idea for these stories, and I think that's pretty cool. This one, he says he had the idea that he could combine Dracula and Tales of the Crypt and come out with Moby Dick. Interesting theory. And actually, I think he started writing this one before he started writing Carrie, which was his first ever published novel. So that's also kind of interesting to just know that he had been working on this for that long. So what is this about, you may be asking yourself? The town of Jerusalem's Lot, aka Salem's Lot, basically has always had these like uneasy stories and tales around it, describing like strange happenings in the town. And this dude, Ben Mears, he has witnessed something odd before leaving Jerusalem's Lot. Now, I think years later, I'm not sure on the timeline, he decides to return to Jerusalem's Lot, to the Marston house where he witnessed said thing that we don't yet know what it is. And he finds that there is someone already there that is renting the house. This person makes him really uneasy, and then on top of that, all these weird things start to happen, like a kid going missing, a dog being unalived. Hopefully it's not described in the book, because sad face. But all these weird things are happening, and we're just navigating what the French toast is going on in Salem's Lot. That's the tea. Speaking of tea, I totally forgot I brewed myself some. Awkward. But we're gonna get started, and hopefully this one is a good one, because Carrie was off to a great start. I desperately need to go to bed because I have to chaperone some 5th graders, rowdy 5th graders at that, on a trip tomorrow. But I'm 42 pages into this book. I haven't been making like fast progress, but that doesn't mean that I'm not interested in the book. I think I'm just like in a little bit of a slumpy era. This book is like, the pages feel so nice, so crispy, and like so well printed. Like, this is just a very high quality book, but let me not get distracted. Nothing like odd really has happened yet. We are getting like flirting between the guy Ben and this new character, and I am just like I don't know if it's because I was just reading an age gap romance and I'm just like hyper aware of like how appropriate or not relationships may seem, but it's interesting that he thinks that she is 7 years younger than she actually is, like based on his guess. And he essentially thinks that she's like a child or like very young and still hits on her anyways. And that's interesting. I just finished reading an age gap romance, so like I really have age on the brain. It's really not much of a major plot point, but anyways, besides that, we're just kind of getting an introduction to Jerusalem's Lot as a town. We're getting a lot of like world building and backstory on the lore of this little tiny town. And I think it's actually funny because I thought in Carrie that Stephen King was obsessed with boobs because he kept mentioning them. But in Carrie, we actually got a very detailed description of them unaliving some pigs. And then obviously Carrie gets pig's blood poured on her. And in this book, we're getting the lore of Jerusalem's Lot, and it actually was named after a pig named Jerusalem. So, is he obsessed with pigs? Like, what a strange and odd dude is my good Sir Stephen here. What's going on? Hey! This book starting to get very interesting. So I am at like the 50% mark exactly, and we're really starting to get the vampire lore. I was actually surprised. So I think this book was originally published in 1975. Yes, it was. And then this one was this edition was published in 2021. But anyways, the point is that because he says in the beginning that this was inspired by Dracula, it's kind of interesting how we're getting a very, very, very traditional version of vampires in this book. So we're starting to see all the little like lore bits being kind of sprinkled throughout, and I think it does a really good job of it. So like, for example, one of the characters who we have no idea that she's a vampire, and all of a sudden she starts talking about how her husband is like, whoa, you look a little unwell, are you good, sis? And she's like, you know, I agree with you. I was looking in the mirror the other day and like, I don't know, I look so pale, like I could have sworn I could see the tub behind me in the mirror. And hello, you can't see vampires in mirrors or cameras, so is she converting? But yeah, we're also getting like the fact that you have to like invite them in. They can't just come into your home. We're getting little ideas of like how, I didn't actually know this one, but apparently when the vampire like bites you after you're unalived, the marks go away. I didn't know that, but it's lore here, and I wonder if that's just like something that I've, you know, just always missed forever. But we're getting very vampire-y. We haven't used the word vampire though, but I'm very excited for this development. 50% through the book. It's getting serious. I honestly at first was like, a lot of people say that Stephen King overwrites. Like they're like, he includes a lot of stuff that he doesn't need to include. And I at first was like, okay, I kind of see it in this book because we've just been talking a lot about all these gazillion characters and their life stories. And I was like, why are we getting all this information? Like, I'm so confused. And there's so many like people. Why do we need to know about all these people? Can we just follow the main character? But then we get this chapter where it's kind of like more poetic, right? We get these chapters called The Lot, and it's like all the other chapters are in the perspective of characters, but then the setting itself, Salem's Lot, gets its own perspective as well. And in that chapter, he's talking a lot about how the town knows darkness, it knows secrets, it's like spooky scary skeletons, and you kind of get like the references to some of like the secrets that people in the town hold. So beautiful, beautiful, amazing, fantastic writing, and I'm starting to get high rating feels from this book. It is 3:28 in the morning when I hit the record button right now. I have to be up for work in at least an hour and a half, like latest. Usually I get up at 4, but obviously that's not gonna happen. I've literally been laying in my bed since 11 o'clock at night, and I at first was reading my book, and then I started to get sleepy, so I put the book away, and then here I am. I've stared at the ceiling, I've stared at my plants on my windowsill. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think I'll just try to read again, and hopefully I'll fall asleep. It would be kind of crazy if I finished this book right now in the middle of the night. Honestly, I might do it, right? If I can't sleep, might as well. Somebody call 911. Tomorrow's gonna suck so bad. Well, today is gonna suck so bad. The crazy thing is that I am tired. Like, why can't I sleep? Anyways, let me tell you where I am in this book. So basically, I'm at like, I want to say the climax. We've defeated the big boss, and we're dealing with like, I don't think it's like a spoiler, but like the continued effects of a vampire epidemic that has hit Salem's lot. That doesn't feel like an accurate description, but things are going bananas, honestly. Like, I'm so impressed and appalled by Stephen King's like imagery in this book. It's also the fact, like, I usually don't do really well with like fighting scenes and things like that because I can't follow along with like the descriptions, but the way that he just like draws out his description of scenarios and describes things in such minute detail, I still can't picture in my head. Like, I don't think I have that ability to make like mind movies at all, but I still am able to follow what's going on because it's like vague enough that I don't have to have an exact understanding of what's happening, but also is like such detail that like you just get it. I feel like I'm not making any sense, but he's just doing a really good job with balancing these descriptions in this book. Like, there is one part where they open up a crawl space under a like trailer home, and he's talking about the 3 feet that he sees lined up underneath there, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so spooky. It's also funny because, well, there's 2 movies. I don't know if I'm gonna watch them both, but I might try. I just have to probably watch the old one in the daytime. But the point is that as I'm reading the book, I could see certain things that I'm like, oh, this is going to be a really good jump scare in the movie. So he's killing the game. We're at the climax. We are so close to finishing this bad boy up, and then there's like a really long epilogue. But the one thing that I noticed about this book, these editions, the hotter editions, are so cool. They have so many like special features, but I really thought this was a 750 page book, but it's not. It's like 600 and something pages. What it has at the end is deleted scenes, which I do think would be interesting to read, but like, I'm in the middle of a readathon right now, so I won't. But we are closer to the end than it actually appears. Let's get to reading and hopefully sleeping at some point. Send help. Okay, as is quickly becoming tradition, I'm about to watch the movie for Salem's Lot. Actually, I was a little bit surprised to discover that there is one that came out last year. I wasn't aware. I was only aware of the one that came out in 1979, and it's really late right now. It's like 10 p.m. So I don't think I want to watch that one because I've seen pictures of the vampire in that one, and he looks like he would give me nightmares. I mean, the other one will probably give me nightmares too, but it doesn't look as creepy and like weird as that one. So that's the tea.
Y'all, I like to believe that I didn't just leave it there, but you can never be sure. It's just as likely that I lost all the footage as it is that I actually just didn't film anything else. But I did end up watching the 1979 version of this movie. There's also a return to Salem's Lot, which came out in 1987. There's a mini series from what I can find, and there's also the 2024 version of Salem's Lot, which is the one that I thought was too spooky to watch in the nighttime. So maybe I'll watch that one someday, but the image of the spooky person on the cover of that is just not it for me. So choose your poison. Yeah, honestly, I kind of fell asleep at some point during the movie, but I wouldn't say that that means that it wasn't a good one. I was pretty invested, but of course it rings true that the book was better. 'Tis unfortunate. But it was good. It was good. Go watch it. I just think it's so funny and corny that this is titled The Hierarchy of Horror. But I want to rate and rank all of these books to see which one is the best of all time. The greatest Stephen King book, in my humble opinion. So, thus you get the hierarchy of horror. I don't make the rules. I just follow them. Okay, so I thought what I could do is I created this cool little ranking situation on that ranking website that I always see, and I will place them. So right now we have Carrie at 4 stars. I also gave Salem's Lot 4 stars. I think though that Carrie I enjoyed a little bit more just because Salem's Lot dragged. And this is something that Stephen King gets accused of constantly, is like overwriting. And I wouldn't say that necessarily that he did that in this book, but there were some parts in the middle of the book that I was like, all right, let's move on from this now. So because of that, and because of the fact that I really enjoyed the mixed media idea of Carrie, I'm going to go ahead and put this one in the 4-star category, but right behind Carrie. And that's all she wrote, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this. It was short but fun little vloggy vlog. And make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed this, and make sure you hit that subscribe button if you want to join the family, and if you want to stay tuned to the King Quest, because next we turn the page to Rage and things are just gonna get a very different kind of dark. See y'all when I see you next. Bye.